running a little bit late here. Running all over the Institute today. Every half hour we're launching a new broadcast here, so thanks for bearing with us on this Giving Tuesday special presentation of live broadcast from within Boyce Thompson Institute, trying to give everyone who engages with us, who has worked with us, who supports us, both emotionally and financially, a look inside the labs of the people that all of your generosity goes to support and the research that you're helping make possible. Now we're joined by two BTI Intern Alumni, John Schaefer and Felix Fernandez-Penny, who spent some time here. Felix is actually just finishing up an internship before he moves on to another internship. Felix is a bit of a professional intern. I think for those of you that have been through an internship, that might be the thing to be. So Felix, if you can maintain that for the next 30 or 40 years, I think you're going to be in good shape. So I'll let them introduce themselves. Before I do so, I just want to give another shout out that we have a challenge match going on until 3 p.m. If we can raise $300 before 3 p.m., board member Paul Comet will be joining us at 3 o'clock. We'll match that $300. Paul's already giving generously, but he wants to give again if we can hit that match, and he will give another $300 to support our mentorship program that's just starting up here at BTI, and you'll hear about that at 3 o'clock. So if that sounds like something you want to help out with, you can go to bti.cornell.edu/give, and that will take you where you need to go. We appreciate everyone that's stepped up so far today, and we'll read that list of generous donors in a little bit. So let's jump to you first, Felix. You tell us how long, you're just finishing up, tell us how long you've been at BTI and kind of what got you into the Institute.
Right. So I am a local. I studied at Ithaca High School, and it was my sophomore year, I believe, that I saw some posters for BTI's REU internship in the PGRP high school program, which is linked, and that's the Plant Genome Research Program for those of who are watching who don't know the program. So I applied the first year and actually did not end up making the final cut, but it was my second year applying that I was contacted personally by George Jander, who's faculty here at the Institute, and offered a position in his lab for the summer, and that kind of sparked it all. So I did about 3 years back to back in George Jander's lab, working on some research having to do with plant-pest interactions, and in kind of that timeline, after finishing high school, I did the research experience for undergraduates program funded by the National Science Foundation. That's been a big part of BTI summers here for a long time. And kind of started my career here at BTI, and I'm now a third-year undergraduate here at Cornell, still continuing my time at BTI, but in a slightly different capacity. I work as an intern with the Office for Advancement, formerly the Development Communications team here. So I suppose that's a little kind of brief background and overview of some of my responsibilities here.
All right, well, we'll ask you more about what you're moving into in a few minutes, but let's bring in our second contestant here, John Schaefer, joining us from what looks like a quad of some sort. I hope that's a window, John. You're not sitting outside. Oh, you are inside. Okay, good. So, John, tell us a little bit about how you found your way to BTI and where you're at right now.
Yeah, so I also am a local Ithaca native. So going into my senior year of high school, I saw the same program Felix talked about, the PGRP research program, and I applied going into my freshman year of college here at Cornell. That summer I spent at BTI doing work in Dr. Stern's lab, and that was just a great experience for me. Really set me up for success here at Cornell. I was going into bioengineering at Cornell, and it was I stuck with that for 2 years, and BTI was a big part of that reason. Now I sing at Cornell, and I in the choral programs here, and I have done other research with some microfluidics companies here in Ithaca, and that's been my experience so far.
So you both came in as high school students, is that correct?
Yeah.
So what is it? Is it a little bit? Is it? I mean, it sounds like. First of all, we know it's a great opportunity for high school students. Is it a little intimidating to come into an institute where you have so many different? You have graduate students, postdocs, and then you have faculty members that have released all sorts of papers. Is there any awe when you walk into the building as a high schooler?
I guess I can go ahead and touch on that a little bit. I would definitely say so, and I think that's only kind of presented itself more as time has gone on. I was very new, as a high school student to science in general and the research world and kind of the climate around all that when I first joined. And so I didn't really know how the kind of research team organization, hierarchies, kind of programming worked. And it slowly presented itself more and more as, people were releasing papers and Jim Giovannoni's recent induction into the National Academy and kind of the caliber of the work that's done here and how valuable it truly is.
Yeah, I can go off of what Felix said, and I mean, I was definitely intimidated at first when I came in. I really hadn't done any research in the past. I was pretty nervous coming into science. I mean, I had my science from high school background, but nothing really other than that. But everybody at BTI was so welcoming and so great to work with, and really did a great job bringing me up to speed and getting me involved on their research and on the research projects here. And it became although the first few days I was a little out of my element, a little in over my head. I felt I was able to they gave me the resources and the support to get to where I needed to be to try and participate in the program.
What were some of your most memorable experiences? Is there anything that kind of stands out as when you look back at your internship at BTI? There was just a kind of a moment where it kind of felt really cool to be here, or just a learning experience that you think you'll take with you?
I guess I can go ahead again. I think it was a kind of a personal growth experience that was very cool, but in huge part facilitated by my time at BTI. In the a big difference between the student presentations in the high school program and the REU program is that as a high schooler, the interns are asked to present a poster, and they're there for this kind of poster symposium session, whereas in the REU program, you're asked to give a 15-minute research talk. I think one of my most memorable experiences was the symposium during my second summer at BTI, where I gave one of these talks, and at the time, the REU interns were mostly second and third year undergrads, whereas I hadn't even begun my first year and was going into the to the undergrad program. So it was a pretty immersive experience into scientific presentation, and just was really gratifying to be able to stand there among this kind of group of incredibly talented and intellectual people, and also gain the kind of public presentation skills and speak to professionals in the realm.
For me, I'd say working on the team that I was with, and one of the other interns that I was working with, Ben Eisenhut, and we worked together on all of our research for that summer, and nothing really in particular stands out, but being besides maybe just doing for the first time, trying to present my research, present my ideas and thoughts to Dr. Stern, and continually getting feedback and feeling like, man, I really have to push myself to try and get myself up to speed on some of these things, because what I thought was, was I was doing a good job, I found that there was always room for improvement. It really taught me that, it's always striving for something a little bit better, and getting paper back for the third time with more comments on it and different things that I could be trying is a humbling, but definitely a challenging experience, which was very valuable, especially coming into an institution like Cornell, where it's always striving to do that. So that definitely taught me a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that the BTI environment was a really, really important transition moving into kind of Cornell as an undergraduate, and the academic environment that we have here that tends to be, very competitive, but also, supportive at the same time.
Yeah, is there anything that really surprised you about, that surprised you when you came here, that you didn't really expect, anything unexpected during the course of your internship? A lot of times we do internships and we kind of have these expectations in our mind. We think we know what it's going to be all about. And then you go through the experience and there's some things that really kind of catch you off guard in hopefully a beneficial way. Was there anything like that happened here at BTI?
I mean, for me, I was personally surprised that I found research a lot more interesting and a lot more engaging than I initially thought I would. In researching and doing research with plants, I kind of thought, man, going into it, I was like, I'd be interested in trying research, but I didn't really find that I was going to be as interested and as engaged as I really felt from being a part of it and getting the experience of doing research. And it's inspired me to try and do more research in the future, for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, because we came into it so young and in high school, it was a very enjoyably overwhelming kind of experience getting acclimated to the institute. So I didn't per se have many concrete expectations going in, because I was new to the field and new to kind of professional life in general at that point. That the entire experience was just kind of new, and for all a success, in my opinion.
Yeah, I suppose at that age, it's not hard to be a little overwhelmed with what's around you and what you're trying to learn. I've been at BTI over 3 months, and I'm a seasoned 34-year-old, so I've been overwhelmed already. So I can understand from your perspective. So I guess we'll start with Felix. So where do you go now, Felix? You're on to another internship. It seems like you've taken a little bit of a change of course from scientific research into a more communications focused, which is very important, especially in the scientific field, as we continue to hear from people like Alan Alda stressing scientific communication. But your path is sort of going down the communication road, correct?
Right. And so, it's still kind of in this dynamic moment of studies and life. But yeah, so I had I entered Cornell as a plant science major, and doing research in Dr. Jander's lab was a huge part of that. And I will end up with a degree in plant science from Cornell, all things going to according to plan. I definitely did take a moment to kind of step back and identify some of my strong suits and aspects of my research and other involvement on campus. I also sing in the Glee Club with John, and just some of the other things I was doing that I enjoyed, and found that this kind of realm of communications and honestly just talking to people and really engaging with an audience is something that I found very attractive. And so I made the decision to move a little bit into that realm professionally, and have taken leave from my fundamental science research in Dr. Janner's lab, but thankfully I've been able to continue my time at the Boyce Thompson Institute in the Development and Communications Office. And I've also, begun to tailor my studies to suit that change as well. I'm still taking a science course load, but also some more communications, both oral and written. And yeah, come the spring, I'll be on leave in New York City, pursuing a couple different internship opportunities in the public relations and communication field. So very excited for where that will go, and I'm thankful to BTI for having afforded me the experience to kind of go in these new directions.
Yeah, I think it really shows the diversity of different of what those early experiences can do and kind of unlock in terms of, you think you want to do one thing and it really kind of, you get inspired to do something else. And that's all part of the beauty of internships. How about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm following a similar path as Felix in a sense. I've been bioengineering for the past 2 years, and I found, I sing in the Glee Club with Felix, and I found partly through working with the teams at BTI and working with teams through my life, I ended up as president of the Glee Club, and that's been a big eye-opener for me in terms of wanting to pursue things that are more communication, but not really wanting to abandon this science background that I have. And so I've been looking for ways to, incorporate this communication. I'm switching my major to communication and trying to do more business and communication for places that do science as well, knowing that I can kind of be on that business side and help in other ways while also understanding this a little bit more of the science than I would if I just had the maybe business degree, and knowing that it's valuable to be able to work in teams in the science and help people work better and try and really communicate. So that's been my path right now, and looking for more internships as I go along and in all kinds of different fields. And really, BTI has given me part of the well-rounded experience that I feel is great to have going into a field like business or communication. It gives just a greater sense of the world in many different ways.
No, and it seems, you just walk around these hallways and you realize that it is an incredibly diverse population in the Institute. There's a lot of, not only professional experience to learn from, but I think there's a lot of life experience to learn from in this building. You meet people that you ordinarily would not meet in some walks of life, and that has to be really valuable. To that end, I think there might be a bit of a stereotype out there with regards to what people, how people perceive a scientist's personality or interest. And you mentioned both of you sing together on the Cornell Glee Club. Did you find that there's a lot of people working at BTI that have some of these, artistic and other really interesting endeavors that they pursue outside of the building?
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine so, and I definitely know a few from the Gender Lab and kind of through the network that I've made in development and communications who do. One of the folks who we had at our recent board event, is also a member of the Cayuga Chamber Orchestra. So there's an incredibly diverse realm, and whether or not it's music or sports or, Dr. Celia downstairs, she's an avid runner, I know. So there's, so many places where you can find BTI and BTI faculty and staff in the community and in other kind of walks of life.
Yeah, and I agree with Felix as far as, when you look at music groups on campus, a lot of people would think, maybe it's just, people who are in liberal arts, they're also very artsy. But you find that, in fact, it's almost the opposite. I mean, in the Glee Club, I think it's like 80% of us are pretty much in science, technology, or math in some way, and it's really eye-opening to see that difference. And not everybody's. You'd be surprised at the different talents people have in different walks of life.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we here in science need to continue to convey, that it's not just serious curmudgeon-y people in lab coats, right? There's a lot of personality in science, and it's and not just the people, but there's a lot of personality in the work, even at the molecular level. There's personality there. Well, both of you, thank you so much for taking a half hour out of your day to join us and talk about your experience as interns at BTI. We certainly wish you the best. Is there any closing thoughts you have, or anyone you need to say hi to, anything like that?
I don't think so. I think this has covered it. Thank you so much for facilitating this conversation, and happy Giving Tuesday to all those watching this live stream.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, and thank you to BTI for all the opportunities they've given me. So I really appreciate that.
Well, and thank you both for going on to represent us. We're proud of the time you put in here, and we'll continue to be proud and watch you as you go on to do great things after BTI. So thanks so much. And we'll be back in about 30 minutes with should be a really fun one-on-one conversation with BTI President David Stern, where we'll talk about what's new at the Institute, what he's excited about, and we'll also talk a little bit about the general state of discovery science and what's going on in the industry, and what needs to be done to make sure that we meet the needs of the future. So we'll be back in 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks so much.